Alright, so I haven't updated my videos in a while. Turn down my microphone just a little bit more. Okay. So I did pass the core 1, and I used the study method I had in my old videos on that. And instead, I figured out a new way to study for these, which might be easier. So we did this, and I did it through just the numbered ones here. And instead of doing through the numbers, I went down to the exam objectives, and you can go through the register exam objectives to sorry, I thought I had some time here, so I'll go over real quickly. So I went to these instead of typing on the old one. Is just on the first test I got these wrong, on the second test I got these wrong. I instead go by the exam objective types. So here, common OS type quiz, common OS type, and I wrote down what I got wrong, and there it wasn't anything. But then I got down here to disk partitions, the partitioning quiz, and I had a few things that I should go over, such as Windows repair does not affect user applications, preserves app configuration settings, and does not affect user files. For OS installation and upgrade methods quiz, for that one instead, I have these cutouts to study. And as usual, to study, I would go to Professor Messer. You can just type in his name, Professor Messer, or you can type in A plus 1002 and then go to the training course. And from these videos, you can find the correct section. It has the numbering for the sections. And then you can screenshot the screenshots, Windows key, Shift, and S. Gets you a nice little screenshot like that. And then if you have your clipboard enabled, you can press Windows V and it'll let you post from your clipboard. So yeah, and then you go through and you write out your notes, and you go through these, and I would go through all of these if you could, and if you want, you can go back to these and go, okay, well, I'm going to get through this half of the test today. Each one of these is 25 questions, so that's 100 questions. You go, okay, I want to do 100 questions today, 100 questions the next day. I'd rather do something more like 200 questions in a day, 200 questions in a day, 200 questions, and try to get it out in the third day by doing a little bit extra. It'll take you about a few hours. And whenever you get something wrong, go over to your notes. If you want to like follow your notes as you do it, that's fine. It's more like flashcards. You're getting memorization. If you notice that if you go through these and one of these parts you would fail, I would go back and study a little bit more and then go over it again until you stop needing to review your notes before you fail. And a few things else. This isn't the best. A few things, like on my Core 1 quiz, there was one for RAM where it asked me like speeds and how many notches, and I didn't see any of those questions on the actual exam about how many pins are on the RAM chip or how fast the RAM chip is or what's the difference between DDR3 and DDR4. The questions were more along of how do you get dual channel. You plug in the chips in, they have to be exactly the same DDR4, so in speed, put them in the same colored slotted channel. And I'm assuming it'll be similar for this one, because this examcompass.com practice test ask a whole bunch about like, how do you get to printers and stuff, control panel, admin print device, printers, like what is the list of directions to get there. And I don't think it's going to have that. I think it is going to have examples of when do you use msconfig, when do you use ms32. I would memorize msinfo32. I would memorize why this is useful, such as checking the BIOS version. I remember that from a practice test. Sysconfig, system configuration, I would remember that. Also, you could memorize the exact command out to use in control panel, but Windows we use like PowerShell on remote servers and stuff, and we don't really do that quite yet. So I would remember, what is system config good for? Well, you used to have startup tab in system config, and that's now in task manager. That's easy to remember and important. What is tools for? Registry editor, it seems it has other things. I can go to regedit and command prompt. Services, this is just like the services app over here, I would imagine. Is it? Maybe it's not. It is similar. Crash Defender service. These are things running in the background. You gotta know what the services are. The boot, this was interesting because I didn't know about it, and Professor Minister did bring it up. Like, what are the advanced options? What would you, if you wanted to change some things so it would boot better? You can do a safe boot, boot log, no GUI. It would just come up in a command prompt. Go to advanced options. You can even affect the memory. That was one of his questions. You can affect the number of processors. I don't know why. The memory might be, if it's like a configuration issue, maybe you want to use less than 4 gigs, because if you use more than 4 gigs and there's something to do with 64 processing that uses more than 4 gigs, you can maybe reduce that to simulate a 32-bit environment, for the processor. And then you go to startup, select a startup. Just gonna do normal. I wonder why that was selected, or did I accidentally click it? Anyways, so remember that. msconfig, remember MMC, Microsoft Management Console. Do I have one? Yep, I already have one saved. And it does certain things like, I have Device Manager. Device Manager is good for keeping a track of device drivers. Disk management, this is good for figuring out disks. And this one I remember what a disk is, like the parts of the disk. Say you just plugged in a disk, well then it's not online. You have to go here and click online, and then if it's basic, you can't make a software RAID, but if it's you can change it to a dynamic. I don't think you can change it to a dynamic while it's already being used, but you can change it to a dynamic, which will allow you to make it into a RAID formation, or you can make it appear in the operating system as one file. So use both disks, but both disks will just look like one disk in the operating system, and that would allow you to like just plug in a new dynamic disk to expand the size of that volume really easily, sort of like a virtual machine, or like a LUN, logical unit number, which is the name for if you're using a storage attached network. A SAN, they switch out drives all the time, and you don't want to make it really complicated. You just want to have one drive for people to store their information, and the computer, the hardware, figures out all the rest. So I do need to practice on what is basic online. Where was it? Disk management. Unreadable. Foreign is when it's plugged in, it's new. Unreadable means that something's going wrong. Disconnected means not connected. Powered down means not powered. Corrupted means there's something wrong. Disconnected another time, it means it might not be working. Online with errors means it's having trouble. And healthy and at risk. Start with run, quick access menu. Quick access is a right click on this. Disk management. Failed is damaged. Initializing is what you do when you have a new disk and erases all data. Permission ties extend into adjacent space. Unallocated. To split, you shrink the volume and then you expand a new volume into the unallocated space. System utilities, I think I already did that. Appearance, display app, and Windows control panel. Just system utilities, so that might be things under control panel. And these are important to go over. Control panel, I don't know how important it is. You're going to want to stick with the small icons for control panel, and then you want to go and open up admin tools in a separate control panel. I dig that dark theme. I don't know why control panels, it has the bright theme, and then admin tools is dark. I think it's because admin tools is in a file. Like autoplay, you can turn that off. This might be a good idea, but this is my personal computer. Nobody's coming in here, coworkers that I don't know, and plugging things into the computer that they might have dropped a USB in the parking lot. This is really a clever trick. Hackers pen testers will do. Let me just drop this, evil USB stick in the parking lot. Someone will pick it up, plug it in a computer, and it will auto run. Turn that off. But instead, register here. Remember that. Remember what you can get here, which is you can also get computer management is one we have to memorize. And what's in computer management is performance monitor, device manager. Again, you can update the roll back or update the drivers. Disk management is in computer management, and services is in computer management. System information, that's MS Info 32, still very useful. You can get the BIOS version, how many gigs your computer is detecting. Like I have 32 plugged in, but it only said 16 here. I knew something was wrong. How big the paging file is. Total virtual memory is almost 40 gigs of virtual memory. That's fake memory for the paging file. Paging file is only 4. Okay, so that's with everything. So it's 32 plus the 5 here. And the paging file is where it runs off, because it's like might have stuff running in RAM that. Anyway, so I'm doing all this to prepare for my exam. What else do we? User account applet found in control panel. Here's the other confusing thing, is that different version of Windows, when you're an administrator, you're almost guaranteed to be using like professional or enterprise Windows, and they'll have things that are not locked off that you don't get to have at home. And when you're sitting at your home computer, there's things you have to know that you don't have access to at your computer. You might be able to run a virtual machine with like Windows Professional on it. So yeah, if I type in users, we have a change user account settings. We have a different type. I just type in user accounts here. This is going to be a little bit different. Hi, there's me. So remember about that. If you have more users on your computer, you manage them through this. But like security settings, I don't think you could do on home. You have to have enterprise, where you can customize the local security policy. So that's found in control panel. Security and maintenance. Where is that? Click on this. Yeah, it does not give you access to Windows Firewall. It says, I think you have to go somewhere else. Network Firewall. Okay, so yeah, it does have an access to it, but it goes to something else. It goes to the Windows Security Firewall in Windows 10. Credential Manager, I never use it, but it's basically, I do have KeePass, which makes passwords for me. That's more useful to me. I store it all here, and then I can back it up someplace else. So like if my computer goes to crap, I can restore all my passwords that I use, because I can make really complicated passwords and just copy and paste them. BitLocker is very important. It encrypts a whole drive. Home groups is an old form, and because it's annoying, I don't have like multiple computers, but it used to be that you could just make one password for your whole home network, and everybody would be able to share their shared information. You can play movies from other computers, and it's just kind of a security risk, so they got rid of it, and now you'd have to make a work group. Sync Center is managing offline files. I don't know if there's no sync partnerships. Well, it might be something to do with enterprise, where you sync up with files at enterprise. You can work at your computer, and when you get back to your job, that it automatically syncs up with the enterprise. So if kind of like OneDrive. Wake up on LAN. You can start a computer over the LAN. Non-proprietary RDP. Alternatives V and C. I've never seen it, but it's just RDP without it. Wireless connection. There's encryption types I know are important. There's radius and TACX. Radius is used for network access, combines authentication and authorization, encrypts only password and access request packets. TACAS, has separate authentication and authorization, used for device administration, encrypts entirely payload. Best practice for malware removal. I feel like this was on the last test because of how long ago I studied this, which was only like 2 weeks ago. But alright, so you find the malware symptoms, you quarantine it, you disable system restore, because nowadays malware goes back in time and infects the system restore. You remediate the infected system, schedule scans and run updates, enable system restore, create a restore point, and then educate the end user. So the best way to do it is to just delete the computer with the malware and restore from a backup image before there was any issues. That's the only way to be for sure. But otherwise, if it's like something important and you got to get some files off there first, that might be the best way to do it, is to fix it the best you can, have them get their stuff off it, and then do that later. OS security settings. NTFS is the file system security settings, so you can control who gets into it, and it allows you to say, I have access to everything, and then everyone else has read-only. And it can be based off security groups, and then there's also share permissions. And this is something I didn't get when I was working in Windows admin class, but it's very simple. The most restricted permissions win. When accessing outward. So if I get to the computer and it's on my computer, I'm not using the share settings at all. I'm using the NTFS settings. But when someone's accessing from across the network and my NTF settings are more restrictive, say the share says they have full access and they can delete things, but my NTFS setting says everybody only has read settings, it will default to the NTFS and just allow them to read. And then here's attrib plus R, drive path file name. I forget what that one is for. This would be to add attribute, read, file path, file name. I'll have to double check that. That's really specific. Encrypt tools, data destruction, reinstall, quick format, high level format. Low level format means actually messing with the data. High level sounds like you're just getting rid of the index for the files, but you can still retrieve data. Standard overwrites of contents, similar to a low level. Network macro troubleshoots. How long? We're going to 18 minutes now. There is sysdm. So .cpl. System properties. I forgot about this one. This one allows you to do a few things. You have computer. You can change the name of the computer. My computer name is Bottleneck Dolphin PC. Hardware is device manager, device installation settings. Do you want to automatically download available files? Yep, recommended. Advanced. This is important to know. For performance, go to system properties. Go to advanced, go to performance. I don't know user profiles, we didn't really do that. This one takes you back to system settings to oh, okay. Huh. You go to performance, go to settings, a bunch of stuff. Choose what's best for the computer. Visual effects. I had Windows do it automatically, but that's so like minor. I got a Vega 64. That's no big deal. Advanced processor scheduling. Adjust best performance for programs or background services. Virtual memory. This is important. You can change how much virtual memory is available. I just do it automatically. It did 5 gigs. Yesterday I think it was 4 gigs. I would even give it like 40 gigs or 20 gigs or something, but that's fine. I already have enough RAM as it is. I don't even need it. Data execution permission. This is for protection, but the important thing is that paging file, where to go for virtual memory, which is sysdm dm.cpl. And then startup recovery. This takes you to dump file, overwrite exit file. If there's a memory dump. Alright, and then system protection, you want to keep this on. This is your system restore. I have it on only for my OS drive, and then I've made restore points before. We're going to click that just to see what happens. Oh yeah, I got rid of EVE Online. I got rid of EVE Online because I played it for like 2 weeks and then closed it again. I played the game a lot in the past, and then also systemd, you can allow remote access. I remember getting here someplace else, and how I got there would be from well, I'd usually use control panel, and then you go to system. Advanced system settings. Anyways, what else? Localhost. Remember what localhost is 1 and 1200. And this is what I mean. These parts that are in here, I don't think you have to really memorize this. Like, you don't need to memorize specifically how to get to it from Windows 10 or Windows 7. You got to know what they do, not just how to get to it. Although it is important to know how to get to it. Boot rec rebuild BCD. This is important for if you can't boot. It might just be a corrupted boot file, and this is a program you run in command line using a recovery disk, like a recovery USB. Reliability monitor happens a lot. Professor Messer likes pulling that out because people don't know about it. Rebuilding Windows profiles is important because, hey dog, that's a common problem. They said, like, it happened. Excuse me, I just snorted. Jesus, it happens a lot where people's profiles get corrupted, and you have to delete their profile and rebuild it. And that doesn't mean like they're no longer a user on the profile, but just like the user settings that are profiled, you have to delete that because it's corrupted, and then it'll rebuild it for you, and there shouldn't be much of an issue. It does delete everything, but also all that stuff should be rebuilt. Yeah. That one got me. Archive bit indicates whether or not the file has been modified since last backup. Basic UPS type for a single PC is standby and offline. Means it just sits there as a battery charged and it's waiting, but it doesn't turn on until it knows that there is a power outage. The best one is online double conversion. I don't know what double conversion quite is. I think it takes the signal and it converts it into a battery, and like as the power is just flowing, it kind of like, I don't think it works exactly like this, but it's easier to explain it as it goes into a battery, it charges the battery, and then the battery powers everything. So at any point the power drops out, there's not even a split second of power draw because you've been running off the battery the whole time. The battery just stops charging at the same time that it's powering supply. And that's not exactly how it works, but that is close enough. Radius is a AAA management model. I didn't know that. A shared keys authentication considered a security risk. When the access point transmits challenge text in the clear, receive the same challenge text encrypted in the WEP key. So access point is a WEP, and that's why it's supposed to be wireless, wired equivalent protocol protection, and it's not. It was really big security. Boot manager is needed to start Windows 8. I thought it was boot any. Boot any's for NT based systems, which is older systems. You can get a hijacked email where someone starts using your computer, your email as a bot to send phishing emails. Excuse me. Spoofing is when you have a fake website. Data retention policy is how you hold data. Least amount of storage on cloud stuff. Man, I can't remember. I can't Can't believe that I remember all this stuff. That it goes into this, because it seems like a Core 1 example. So Dropbox only have 2 gigs, iCloud and OneDrive have 5 gigs, Google Drive's 15 gigs of free data. And if there's some weird, your coworker's doing something wrong, tell your supervisor first. Don't fix it yourself, and don't do nothing about it, because that would make you seem complicit. Basic scripting, let's click this, see what it's like. Okay, so this is 9 questions. It's just 9 questions of scripting. I've already know some scripting, and it's just going to ask me mostly about what are these file types. So this is JS, JavaScript. SH is shell. Batch file, Python. Cell is good for Linux. JS is stuff. So which would be the stored commands, designed automatic tasks, and DOS. Batch file. Same stuff. VBS, this is PS1. And VBS, I don't remember what VPS is. Anyways, extension for PowerShell. PS1 is PowerShell. VBS, Vibes file system. Visual Basic. Oh, okay. Visual Basic scripting. Jeez, is VB or VBS? We'll write that down. Basic scripting. So I'll do a couple dots for this section, and then I tab out. I'll write down like what's the question. But I'm just gonna type in dot .vbs and .vb file. I'm pretty sure it's VBS. Anyways, to run Unix commands, shell. Cross-platform import program language, Python. User create script file, extend the interaction between user and web page, JavaScript. Construct repeats the sequence instructions, it's a loop. Store numbers, integer. Contain text is a string. And yep, I just guessed VBS. Now I know what VBS is. I didn't know Visual Basic had a programming language. I just use Microsoft Code, I think. Visual Studio Code. Yeah, I use that because it's nice to have. It was free. I got it, and it let me integrate with my Azure account. Shell, Python, JS. It's a loop, integer, string, 100% 9. Yep. So really don't have to worry about scripting, and it's probably not going to have much at all. The only issue I do have is that I had to go all the way to the bottom, and I go to this one. You have another Cert Blaster sample practice test. They want you to buy something, and it's slightly a racket. Okay, you have to spend $450 on practice tests on the actual exams, and then you want to spend another $30-$40 on practice tests. No, you pass it. At a certain point, you might want to spend an extra $100 on stuff, because you can just take the exam and then, okay, I remember what's on the exam, now I know what I have to study for, and then pay for the exam as well. You have to spend up to $800 to make sure you can pass the exam. But I clicked this, I thought I was ready, and I did this, 30 questions, and I failed. I got a 60%. So that kind of scared me. That told me I got to study some more. But I just went over my 8 pages of study with anyone to watch it. Most of this is mostly for me and my studying. And a few more things. Windows 7's 1 gig. By Windows 8, you want 1 gig with a bunch of other stuff to make sure it runs. Everything's always 1 gig, 2 gigs for 64-bit, 16 gigs, 20 gigs for 64-bit. And nowadays, it's like 34 gigs for the information. And basically, as it goes, you can upgrade. By the time you get to Enterprise, you're switching from being able to upgrade to install, and then also the higher levels. If you want to downgrade from a Windows 7 Pro to Windows 10 Home, you have to do an install. You can't do an upgrade. So you just have to know that's kind of balanced. Over here, you have Core, Professional, Enterprise. If you're just going to Home, it's an upgrade. If you're going to Pro, it's an upgrade. But if you're going to Enterprise, it's install. Professional, it's an install for Home. you're downgrading, and then it's an upgrade for the next two. And then for Windows 10 Enterprise, again, if you're downgrading, it's an install. If you are going to an equivalent, it's an upgrade. And then we have these 20 questions, and I would fail this. So I've already been talking for 30 minutes. I don't think no one's really gonna. Maybe someone's gonna watch this to pass, maybe an employer, but no one's gonna watch the whole thing. But this is for my self-study, and hopefully I pass, and hopefully that helps. All right, thanks guys. Bye.